Thank you, everyone. So 1.7 is feature froze. We have just a few items left for 1.7. I'm working with documentation on this item, which I just found, which has to do with the analysis help URLs. I think that should be a one-line change, if that. There's 3 with environments. Martin, are you on? Can you tell me if any of these 3 are done?
I am on. Let's see. Yes, so first is done. The second one, I think we decided that we weren't going to do anything further for it because the first item sufficiently covers what we need.
Okay.
And then the last one, that one I'm not sure. I know somebody is working on it, but I don't know the latest status.
Okay. I'll just take the one that we're not doing out of 1.7.
I'm happy to close that one out with some comments if you agree. I think that's what we were leaning to last time that we met with Jinan, who was doing the uninstall work, and I can update the issue to reflect that.
Perfect, then. Thank you very much.
Sure.
So I wanted to talk about testing. And first, I want to talk about the automated tests. And then I want to remind everyone that testing day is tomorrow. Anyone who can should test. So let me tell you about the automated tests. Frank from documentation has taken every page in the Istio doc and assigned it to a working group. So security got 17. We got 33 of these documents. And I went through them and labeled each one with its title, and then tried to figure out what its sort of priority would be. So what Frank thinks that we should do is review all those and write automated tests for the ones that we can. So I worked on automated tests for Analyze. I did this test, and if you look, it now has a check mark on it. It took me several days to learn the framework and get it all done, but all of these commands are sort of run automatically when the documentation is built. And so when that happens, it's great for us because there's a spreadsheet that we normally do for every release testing day, and we are trying to do those tests. So here's the tests that we have. Anything that says needs automation, we're supposed to be sort of adding automation if it's possible, and we're supposed to be doing as much as we can to test the pages, especially from our working group, and especially the P0s as part of those testing days. So anyone who can and has time, please write these tests. If you need help, read this README or ping me and I will try to get you started. A few of these items looked like they needed some editing. The automatic sidecar injection page screwed up. So I'm going to try to touch the documentation a little bit, but any help that I can get would be awesome. And that's pretty much all I had on documentation and testing stuff. Does anyone have any comments on that? If anyone has somebody in their team who's trying to learn Istio or something, maybe having them try some of these tests would be a good way to get them on board and get this stuff going. Okay, Hongyi has prepared a document for us about the output of Istioctl. Hongyi, can you walk us through this document that you want to review?
Yeah, sure. So this document in particular will focus on Istioctl pre-check, verify, install, and analyze. So currently Istioctl analyze has a pretty good output control. However, the pre-check and verify install commands are kind of are pretty unstructured in terms of their output. So this doc is trying to unify their output to support basically 3 output formats. One is log format, which is intended to be human readable, and the other 2 are JSON format and YAML format. And so we would like to implement these output for pre-check and verify install to be as close to Istioctl analyze as possible. So basically, the output might look like, would you mind scrolling down to the section on proposed output? Yeah. So for proposed output, maybe a little bit more. Scroll a little bit. So basically, yeah, right here. So we would imagine that the output might take 4 parameters, which will basically show the level of an output message, the code of a message, the origin, which is where the message origin is from, and also the detailed message of why this message is emitted. So this is I also put an example here, like in Istioctl analyze, you would have error followed by the code, like ist 0101, 0101, that kind of stuff, and then followed by origin and then message. So basically, in this meeting, we would like to discuss the message code thing, because for pre-check and verify install, we would also like to add some message codes for them. And we're proposing some of the message codes for these 2 commands. And Jason, do you want to take over from here?
Yeah, sure. Do you mind scrolling down a little bit? I believe it's on.
Yep, right here.
Yep, there you go. Yeah, I think we would like to propose that. Yeah, if you look at the comment on the right, so currently we have 0 to 100 for internal usage and 100 to 200 for config analysis, which we're currently using. And we would like to propose that 200 to 300 for control plane resource analysis. Basically, these analyses are targeted right now for pre-check and verify install. And I think we believe this is a large enough range that can host most of the errors that we see today. And yeah, and Hongyi also mentioned here about like what are the checks that we're doing. And yes, so any questions from the community? Yeah, so just wanna emphasize that this is we would like to this is part of like kind of improving how users see the error messages. So I think the focus here is just kind of unifying the output. The command line may not be still like the command line may still be the separate commands in Istioctl, but we're aiming at the unified output. Yeah.
So would there be a documentation page for each of these errors the way that there is for the errors the analysis finds?
Yes, so I think based on the format, yes, we'll documentation URL is part of the analysis output message.
Okay. We have been trying to plan to divide the Istioctl commands so that some of them that are related to installing a control plane or checking the health of the control plane are separate from user-facing commands to check the status of your Istio resources. So it may be that different roles see these messages. I think that's fine. I'm just wondering if these messages are targeted to cloud operators more, if we think that these are the right messages.
Right. So I think that's the main like why we're proposing the range. So I guess yes, they are they might be different. Like the ranges are for different user targets. I guess 0 to 100 probably right now is, although I don't believe we have error messages right now for those, but those are mostly for like Istio internal stuff and targeted for Istio developers. And then 100 to 200 is mostly for Istio users and basic the API users, config users. And then if we agree, the 200 and 300 will be the actually the mesh operator or the let's say the overall mesh operator, but more for the who install the Istio control plane and maintain Istio control plane.
Okay, well, I think this is good. I haven't actually read it myself, but I plan to read it this week. I encourage everyone to read it. Let's see, test plan. Anything to say about the test plan?
Hongyi, do you have anything to add with test plan?
Test plan. I don't think I have anything to add.
That's fair. These commands currently aren't in the integration test, or they aren't properly in the integration test. And I think there's another item so that the commands, especially the multi-cluster commands that set up Istio, will do the pre-check and post-check afterwards to start getting them tested. So that may help or interfere with this in some way.
Yeah, I think it should be fine right now to just add some initial, because I think we can just start to add some initial integration tests for these commands, and if we need to converge later, we can do that.
The current tests for valid or for analyze a bunch of incorrect CRs that they check over. One reason we haven't done a lot of integration tests for pre-check and verify install is that we don't have a good mocked up situation of a cluster, say, that doesn't have support for webhooks and things like that. Do you think we need mocking of the sort of unusual problematic clusters, or do you think it's fine just to have tests for correctness?
So so in analyze we do two things, right? Like for specific like user error scenario, we do unit test. So unit tests cover those scenarios, and then in integration tests we actually in overall just test out the general functionality of the command line. So like not specific to user scenario. Like we test out if the JSON output is valid, if the command line can output correctly in certain ways, but we don't test specifically on user scenarios. So I think we can also stick to that kind of separation. I haven't looked at the unit tests we have for pre-check and verify install, but I believe here what Hongyi is talking about is more focusing on the integration test. We just kind of try to test out the Istioctl command.
Okay, great. So I just added a small item here myself because I spent a lot of time using Istioctl last week and the week before to troubleshoot some things. And I was thinking that a lot of the Kubernetes commands let you use deployment or service slash and then the name of the deployment or service, and it picks a random pod. I'm wondering if we think that Istioctl should do the same thing. I would like it, and I was sort of missing it. Do we have any sort of objections to it?
That sounds good to me.
All right. Do you think we need a design doc for it, or should I just implement it and have people comment on the PR?
I think that should work. It is a very common Kubernetes standard.
That is all I have for today. It's been a very short meeting. Does anyone else have any items? And is there anything we need to see for next week? One thing I really want to do next week is either do or prepare for the plan, the roadmap for 1.8, which means we need to identify candidate issues for 1.8 and sort of prioritize them. So if you have features that you want for 1.8, please make an issue. If you think it should be P0 or P1, definitely for 1.8, let me know and I will triage it as such. And then next week I can prepare a meeting with all of the highly rated 1.8 items and try to see if there's a sort of agreement on them. Everyone knows how XenHub works, right? With have people used XenHub, or are people mostly using the GitHub stuff?
I've been using mixed match.
Yeah. So just if you're not familiar with how we do it in Istio, there's these priorities, new issues, and things that are release blockers are marked P0, etc., or release blocker or P0. If I don't know who has access to XenHub or whatever, so I mean, I can move stuff around to set priorities. I don't know who's allowed to do that. So if there's items that when you bring them up, you feel we need for 1.8 and they have P2 or P greater than 2 in them, either drag them to the P0, P1, or ask me to do that, and I will try to use that to prepare next week's meeting. So if there's nothing else, we can end the meeting early.
Sounds good.
Okay, thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.